Like, they didn't hide from it, which I liked. You know, and if go out of your way to see that, because it's actually really, really good for those who have missed that series in general. It's a very good series on Netflix. Yeah. I didn't expect
it's a great series.
Much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, from what I've heard, they've been rebounding since Age of Extinction.
I know I'm going to be forced to see Bumblebee in December. I already know I'm being forced.
So hold on a second. Yeah, Bumblebee looks a lot more like a modern retelling of Iron Giant. They have a different director. The trailer, it looks like there's story to it and there's character. It's got heart. The problem, one of the biggest problems with the Transformers movies from Michael Bay is that aside from the character design just being kind of questionable, in my opinion, there was no real characterization. You had some characterization for Bumblebee, and you had a decent amount of questionable characterization for Optimus Prime, and that's it. All of the other characters in the movies were just humans. None of the Transformers had any personality to them at all.
I have to say, what the hell was Spielberg thinking bringing in Michael Bay? I think Spielberg should have just directed it himself.
I agree. I don't know what he was. I guess he was sick and home from the office that day when they had to pick a director. I don't know what was going on. Listen, Michael Bay does explosions and action scenes in a very visually impressive way, and I can appreciate that. And Michael Bay has had a couple of movies that I thought were legitimately decent.
Which ones were those?
I thought, aside from the ridiculous product placement, I thought The Island was decent. Not great.
Oh, you want to hear something even better about that? Have you ever seen a Mystery Science Theater episode called Parts the Clonosaur?
I love MST, but I have not seen that episode, no.
Watch that episode and then watch The Island again. As it turned out, it got plagiarized.
That doesn't surprise me that much.
The Island plagiarized Parts the Clonosaur, and we're not talking like coincidental details. Like if you can actually watch and compare both movies, they got ripped off. As in, they actually got brought to court and settled out of court.
Wow. For everything I know about Michael Bay, that really doesn't surprise me in the least bit. If you ever get brave enough to sit through the first Transformers movie, and again, it's the best of any of them so far.
I have a feeling, what? With my son, I'll probably end up watching it.
Okay. If you're brave enough to then sit through the audio commentary with Michael Bay, that is an eye-opening experience. I have met one other person in my life that has as much of a God complex as Michael Bay does. And this person was actually institutionalized at one point. Michael Bay is probably the most arrogant human being I have ever experienced in any way. And it comes through on this commentary.
Well, concerning the fact that his cameo
it's just mind-blowing.
His cameo appearance in Mystery Men was one of the frat boys. I have a feeling that's pretty much his attitude.
I don't even know what to say about the Transformers movies.
I was going to say, because Bumblebee has John Cena in it, and my son loved Bumblebee. I'll end up seeing that movie in December. Yeah. So that'll be the first time I actually see a Transformers movie in theaters. First time I already know I'm going to have to see it. My son's already told me we're seeing it in December. So,
although I'm sorry, I love the fact that this guy's got a God complex when he has turds like Armageddon and Pearl Harbor.
I enjoy Armageddon, so I can't really.
But the problem is, look at the box office, though. Yeah. That's the thing. He brings in so much money from these crap movies.
Hang on, I'm gonna argue this one because Armageddon was. I love Armageddon. I'll admit it's not a great movie. I just love the movie. It's just me personally. I'm not gonna say it's a great movie. It's not, but I have a lot of connection to that movie for whatever reasons. But when it comes to Pearl Harbor, that came out at a weird time. Because if you actually look at the history of the box office of Pearl Harbor, that movie did not bomb. Because it went head-to-head with Shrek. And it was 1 and 2 with Shrek for 3 and 4 weeks. It was massive in the movie theaters when it came out. You may not like the movie, but it did not bomb.
There have not been many Michael Bay movies that have bombed.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I saw both Pearl Harbor and Shrek in the movie theaters. That's why I remember that. I remember I was following box office reports very closely, and Pearl Harbor and Shrek were 1 and 2 for weeks. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Although I will say, though, I actually did like Pain and Gain.
I didn't see that.
That's pretty much less of an action film, more like a comedic crime story.
Okay.
You have Channing Tatum, and Dwayne Johnson.
The shocker, Dwayne Johnson did a movie. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, they played two gym bunnies, we'll put it this way, who decided to make some quick cash by kidnapping a rich man, and it's pretty much how it goes from bad to worse over time, and it actually is based off of an actual case there.
Huh. Okay.
I'm sorry. I love The Rock like everybody else, but it's been a joke that he's everywhere. Like it's been a joke. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the Honest trailer for I think it was Rampage, but in the Honest trailer they actually made a joke that said, "Wow, we've had he's in so many movies. We could just release this one right in time for Skyscraper." Like that was a joke in the Honest trailer. That's funny as hell.
Yeah, I mean, he's had like 3 tentpole blockbuster films in the last 6 months. I mean, that seems a bit excessive, maybe.
Although, I will say this: I am intrigued by Skyscraper. It kind of looks like they patched together Die Hard and the Tower. Sorry, I will say I'm intrigued by Skyscraper because it looks like they patched together the Towering Inferno and Die Hard.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Clerks 2, because we went off on a tangent. And we could skip over the whole Transformers cartoon thing, because we did that already. So, I want
to say one more thing about what Randal says about the Transformers, though. He bashes the cartoon series, and I just want to say, as someone who grew up in the 80s, the Transformers cartoon was way better than the G.I. Joe cartoon, at least. So, I just want to throw that out there.
Fair enough.
Can hate me if you want. But the Transformers cartoon for the time period kicked ass.
I have a question because I know my son loved the newer Transformers one, the more like almost darker version of it. What did you think of that version?
There have been other iterations of the Transformers over the years that I have kind of skipped over. The most recent one is an online web series, which is loosely based on the IDW comic series, which is actually the comic series right now is fascinating. It's one of the best comic series in comics.
Oh, cool.
It's that well written.
Cool.
The web-based series, I think it's on machinima.com, it's good. It's definitely more mature. I think the pacing is a little rough, but it's okay. Beast Wars is probably the best of any of the follow-up series. It's a little dated now with the CG stuff, but Beast Wars is still considered a classic. The stuff that's come out after that, like Armada, and there was one other, I don't remember which one it was. They're okay.
Well, the Rescue Bots was more a kid's show anyway. That was more just for younger kids and have fun with it. They were just having fun.
And to be quite honest, I love that series too.
Yeah, they were just having fun. They wasn't taking that seriously at all. So I have no problem with that.
And, what about Transformers Prime and Robots in Disguise?
That's the one I was thinking of. Transformers Prime.
What I saw of Prime wasn't. If it's the one I'm thinking of, wasn't bad. I think Prime was better than Armada. I don't think I saw Robots in Disguise.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. You should have seen my nephew's face though. When I told him the guy who voices Agent Fowler was Winston in the Ghostbusters movies, because he's seen those too, and he loves them a lot. So I told him, hey, nice. CJ, that's Winston.
See,
nice.
I'm to the point with him when it comes to voices, he gets so confused. I don't even bring that up anymore because if I try to explain like Jim Cummings to him, it would be so confusing for him.
Oh my gosh!
Confusing.
Just the concept of the same guy who does the voice for Winnie the Pooh doing the voice for Tigger, like that alone
in the same show, in the same movie, in a promo for the Blake and Sal show, which I have that actually because I had him on my show twice. So
and then you bring in Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, he actually cut a promo for the Blake and Sal show as Darkwing and Pooh and Tigger. I have those on my files.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Hello, citizens. Darkwing Duck here. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the winged scourge that pecks at your nightmares. And did I mention I am Darkwing Duck? And you are listening to the Blake and Sal show, you lucky little weasels. As you were. Hello there, people. It's me, Winnie the Pooh. And Tigger, too. Don't be ridiculous. Oh, sorry. But I think we're supposed to say something about the Blake and Sal show. Well, of course we are. It's the Blake and Sal show. And don't forget to remember to tune in and watch it with your ears.
Have you seen him? There's a clip from a convention somewhere where he's reading lines from Star Wars with Winnie the Pooh as Darth Vader.
I have heard that. It's amazing.
That is incredible.
Oh,
that guy is so good. He is one of the best voice actors in the industry ever. Him, Steve Bloom, and some others. I mean, they're just top notch. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's also a fantastic guy. And this person from talking to him twice.
I've heard that. Yeah,
fantastic guy. He took, and also, I had to actually wait 20 minutes because he was taking his daughter to school one morning. So it's just, there's also a nice family guy on top of it all. So he's just a great guy.
That's the kind of thing you don't mind getting delayed for. Like when you hear that sort of thing about someone you have a lot of respect for their work and like as a celebrity, and then you hear something like that, it's like, yeah, dude, take all the time you want. It's all good.
I have all morning. I'm all good.
Well, we're lucky there's a family guy.
Oh, and also, no, actually, one thing he did, I put the interviews are in our archives on the Link South Show. I'll put a link up. There's both interviews are in the same thing. I think a D23 special a couple of years ago, and he actually explained being in the Lion King and something about the Disney Afternoon, like singing on the Disney Afternoon record and things like that. Like he went into detail about some really obscure stuff that I talked to him about. It was really cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, all right, let's get back into this because I want to pick up a couple of things. First of all, before we get back to the Transformers, I want to make a note. So we're talking about how Elias' online handle is Optimus Prime, which, okay, first of all, what online purpose thing were going on in 2006?
I have no idea.
I don't even know. Was MySpace a thing? MySpace and things like that?
Let's see.
I think it was MySpace because we had to, we friended the Clerks 2 page there, so we got our names in the.
Oh yeah, that was MySpace. Yeah. You're right. That's in the.
That was kind of but that was the end. That was kind of the tail end of MySpace. It was a time when a bunch of other social media things had started coming. Twitter had just.
Because I'm looking at the history here. MySpace was actually, according to Wikipedia, MySpace was in its heyday in 2006. So that was
its heyday.
Yes, it says 2005, 2009 was its heyday. According to Wikipedia, and then 2008, Facebook took over the world. This is MySpace time. So there you go. So he said he's lined up with the best online handle and email address for when the movie comes out, which is funny.
That's so sad.
But Randal goes and says, "You're gonna be rolling in the pussy, man." Fantastic line. Elias says that he's being gross, which is fair. Elias, very innocent. But then he goes, Randal picks on him some more. And now, this is hysterical to me, because this is such a boss moment. He yells, Mr. Dante, not Mr. Hicks, which I think is funny. Mr. Dante. And then Dante, in the bathroom, just yells, "Leave Elias alone, Randal." Obviously, this is a daily occurrence.
And he has to open the door to do so.
Yes, okay. I have one question.
You notice that's a really good point you make about, not Mr. Hicks, it's Mr. Dante. Like my son, he just turned 9, but for years and years, like 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, it was always, we'd tell him that's Mr. Mike, that's
in school,
Miss Ann, that's Mr. Steve. You use the first names, but it's like a kid thing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think about that way.
It's so much a kid thing.
I have a theory.
Go for it.
Maybe Elias is an Aspie.
Okay, so I'll say this. My son is autistic. I'm actually autistic myself, too.
So am I.
If you really want to get into it, I don't think he's got the triggers. I think he just comes from such a religiously strict household that you've got some of the same social quirks, but I think it's from a different source.
Yeah. I was going to say, you say religious strict, I say repressive.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
I have a question, though. Why if this is the employee bathroom that Dante is in, why, number one, is it positioned in the middle of the restaurant? And why can a guy and a girl sitting at the table see him?
I didn't catch that it was the employee restroom, but even if it weren't the employee, even if it were like the public restroom, you normally have them down a hallway or something.
Exactly. So,
and the toilet's not like right in front of the door either. Like there's no combination where that actually happens in a fast food restaurant. It's like somebody had to crap that intentionally.
That's like something at a gas station or something like that, but not in a restaurant.
Maybe it's a Jersey thing.
No, because I've never seen it before. I've never seen it before, so... And the other thing is a quick cameo. Our cameo of this scene, Scott Mosier is at the table, which is awesome.
His daughter?
No, that's just a girl. That's just a random girl. She's not even on the IMDb list.